Hey yo, bad news. Anthony Joshua's mad. It's meet with me, man. Bruv, it's mad. It's a mad ting, bruv. Anthony Joshua, the $1 million question. Will he rematch Daniel Dubois after a clinical ad whooping at the hands of Dynamite Dubois? Now, let me explain why I feel this is bad news. Joshua is now in between a rock and a hard place. The way and fashion that he lost was bad. If you watch the fight, you'll know what I'm talking about. It was a bad loss. Now, I get it. Some people are saying, oh, he went out on his shield. I guess, but it was bad. It was bad. That's the only way I can define it. Going out on the shield is cool, but getting knocked out in front of 100,000 people is not so fun. Plus all the people who are watching it, and then the people who didn't watch it in real time that are now looking at the clips because it's all over the internet. So that's in and of itself very hard to come back from. But now Eddie Hearn is talking about Anthony Joshua. He's going to wait until December for Tyson Fury and Usyk outcome to determine what his next move is. So that already sounds shaky. Fury and Usyk, what does that have to do with Anthony Joshua's next move? Here's why. This shows me that Anthony Joshua is in a very precarious position, because when Joshua lost other times in the past, he was a bit younger, because it was years ago, and he always wanted the rematch, even against the better judgment of many boxing pundits and analysts. I remember even myself, I picked Ruiz to beat Joshua in the first fight. Nobody was picking it, so I got that one right. Just like the Dubois fight, styles make fights, right? And after that, Joshua said he's pressing for an immediate rematch because he had a rematch clause with Andy Ruiz, and he was upset. I was like, man, that sounds horrible. But Joshua defied everybody, did it, pushed the button, you know. Y'all wish I was front, not George. Push the button. Lift up the hood for the car, run it. Yup. So he pushed the button on him, and he initiated and triggered the immediate rematch using his rematch clause, and then he prevailed. It wasn't a fun fight, wasn't a slick fight, a good fight, but hey, you got to get the win how you get it. So credit to Joshua there for beating Ruiz. I also feel part of it was Ruiz, he never received that type of money and that type of fame that he had, so he kind of lost the plot, as they say, and was eating crazy and partying. Like, you know, he just wasn't being a disciplined fighter. So he took it the Buster Douglas approach. You had the world on your shoulders. You just beat Mike Tyson in Tokyo and honored your mom, who had passed shortly before the fight. And you fight Evander Holyfield and you look horrible, right? So Andy Ruiz did that. So credit to Joshua still, because it doesn't matter what your opponent's doing. You got to do what you got to do. And there's still a big psychological mental wall that you have to climb if you were Joshua, because the fight, you were dropped and embarrassed your first fight in America. Joshua ain't been to America ever since to fight. So that was one time. He did the immediate rematch versus Usyk. Usyk beat the brakes off of him, hurt him in the first fight. He still had a rematch clause. He did the immediate rematch. Loses again a second time. Unlike the Ruiz fight where he was able to avenge it, he loses again to Usyk, and he almost gets stopped in that fight too, right? Usyk goes on to later fight Tyson Fury and Daniel Dubois. Now, Daniel Dubois just kicked your butt, dominated you, hurt you, dropped you 3-4 times or whatever it was. And now Eddie Hearn is talking about, let's see what Tyson Fury and Usyk, what happens there? What? Like, now all of a sudden Joshua doesn't want to avenge his losses. Listen, not that I ever thought this, but Joshua, there's no way he's greater than Lennox Lewis. and this was a comparison early in Joshua's career, it's just no way. Every loss that Lennox Lewis had, he avenged by knockout. We're talking about different things. He's the last heavyweight undisputed guy. He lost to Oliver McCall and made him have a nervous breakdown and stopped him in the rematch. He lost to Hasim Rahman and get your Rahman like Hasim Rahman, right? Came back, knocked out Hasim Rahman. True champion. Joshua, he needs to get the proverbial monkey off his back by beating Daniel Dubois. But it shows a lack of faith and confidence that Joshua's team is talking about Tyson Fury. And they're talking about, oh, if Tyson Fury loses to Usyk, that's still the biggest fight to be made. What about Daniel Dubois? So now that means they know Joshua is completely at a different sunken place in his career. They don't even care about righting that wrong. And for a person who throughout their career has tried to, make these wrongs right by rematching Usyk, rematching Dubois, now all of a sudden you don't want to do it and you're just trying to get a big money fight. You're trying to milk the fans. And I think the fans truly should reject this and not go with the program. You want us to pay for a fight in Fury Joshua that should have happened years ago. You were two British guys. There was a point where you both were undefeated. There's a point where you could have made it for undisputed. And then now you lose to a guy, you could have been a champion again in Dubois. And then now you don't even want to rematch him. So I don't think the rematch with Dubois happens. I think Joshua is just going to try to move on and try to get a big money fight. But to me, I think that's weak. I think that's extremely weak. And that goes against what Joshua has done in the past. And I feel like they're just trying to milk the Tyson Fury angle. I think they're more interested in what Tyson Fury looks like as opposed to Usyk. I don't think they want to rematch Usyk, and I don't think they want to rematch Daniel Dubois. We shall see. Over time, my statements will be either proven right or proven wrong. But I do think it looks bad if you just try to mosey on and move along as if the world didn't see what happened in the Dubois fight. Why should the fans want to see Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua at this point of me recording the video, both coming off of losses? Why should we want to, expedite things and go straight into that fight? And you can't even correct the Daniel Dubois fight if that's what is chosen. So I think if Joshua is really still the same, or if you want him to be viewed as like a big attraction still, he's going to have to correct this Daniel Dubois fight, period. But I don't think Eddie Hearn wants that. I think Eddie Hearn's trying to cash him out on a Tyson Fury fight. Then he knows that the Dubois fight is super dangerous. Again, any other time Joshua in the past had a rematch clause and he lost, he pushed the button on an immediate rematch. So I think it's going to be very telling to see what Joshua does next. And if he doesn't do a rematch, you know what time it is.